kids graduate and they can be certified to have real jobs, like good paying jobs right now. There was an example of one kid that I taught and coached. He did a auto tech certification. He finished that in 2 years, and he was making more than what I was making as a longtime teacher and coach after 2 years.
Produced by Podcast Architects.
Welcome back to another episode of The Path Forward. As always, I'm your host, Dr. Rick Fernandez, where we talk innovation, education, and we have a special guest, a favorite of mine, joining the show, Chip Baker. I'd like to introduce Chip because he is the author, The Impact of Influence. He hosts the Success Chronicles, a man of motivation, many talents, an educator, an innovator. Chip, welcome to the show.
Doc, man, thank you so much for having me.
Did I do you right? I felt like I was trying to give you my WWE, coming to the stage, coming to the ring.
Man, that was good. I almost went see if I could have the Junkyard Dog music. I was just taking them back. You weren't ready for that.
That used to be my favorite.
Yeah.
He had the chain around the neck.
Yeah. I feel like JYD coming in there, man.
Oh man, I used to love the old school wrestling. Still do when you can try to find them on YouTube clips. But before we digress, it's a whole nother show. Just wanted to touch base with you. I know we're kicking out this new year. You've been out and about doing your thing at campuses, providing leadership and inspiration to students and administrators alike. I wanted to get your perspective on what are some of the things you're seeing out there, both the positive and some of the barriers and challenges that campus may have.
I think the positives is, like we know, and this has been consistent for a long time. Educators are working their tails off, man. Educators are finding creative ways to continue to pour into and to make a positive difference in the lives of kids and community and the people that they lead, And so I love that, seeing that with those educators just giving their all, doing the best they can with what they have, And I think, the other side of that is it's never enough funds, right?
Right.
So it's never enough funds to do the things that you want to do because you have all types of personalities, all types of interests, all types of things that kids want to be involved in and that they need, right, to help them be successful. But a lot of times, we know that comes with, funds and allocations and
who's paying for it.
Yeah, right. And all of those things. So I think that's some of the tough things I'm seeing.
Well, when you think about your experience as an educator, and everything that was given to you, important to you, what are some of the things you're doing to encourage the staff? Is there anything specific, any messages that you share specifically when all right, it's November. It's kind of that we're starting to slow down a little bit and get a little tired right before the break or to kick off the new year, or any things like, hey, this is going to be the message because I feel like this is going to make the biggest impact.
I think just reminding them of their why, just continually reminding them of the why, reminding them of the mission, reminding them of the importance of what it is we do, right? Like you think about, like all of us can think of that Mr. So-and-so or Miss So-and-so or Coach So-and-so that made a positive impact in our life. I mean, that ties into my book series, The Impact of Influence. None of us are immune from growing through tough things, and we all have been blessed and fortunate with somebody or something that has influenced our life and has influenced us in such a manner that has impacted us and caused us to be who we are, right? And so I think that as leaders, as teachers, as administrators, if we're reminded of that influence on a day-to-day basis, I think it helps us just continue to just take one more step today. It allows us to be teacher of the year today. Just be teacher of the year today, right? And then tomorrow you reset.
Absolutely.
You come back tomorrow. Hey, I'm going to be teacher of the year today. Right. And I think when you have that mindset, you have that gradual growth. And before you know it, you'll get to that Christmas break or you'll get to that summer break.
I like that perspective. I think I was just trying to go for teacher of the week, teacher of the period, something to get me through. There were times, and I feel like I've always had a really good rapport with kids, but at the end of the day, there was always some that I wasn't reaching for a variety of reasons, and most importantly was because of my lack of understanding or my lack of being able to differentiate. And it always bothered me. It's like, man, what am I missing to meet this kid, to meet their needs and to understand better? And it's a challenge because kids learn differently and they come with different backgrounds and different supports. And it's hard to gauge that, daily and in real time and adjust. And that's why I always liken athletics and education and leadership. It's all kind of the same thing, right? That's what you're doing on the field.
It's life.
I'm adjusting in real time, and I got to make some quick adjustments because if I don't, there's a real negative impact of me not being aware of me not making those adjustments. So you had a little bit of a own parent experience at the beginning of the year. I remember we talked to you. You were taking your son to school. And so I just want to catch up. Where are you now? How did the first semester go? Are you still having a little bit of, the emptiness out of the house? How's it going for your son?
Oh, everything is good. He's a junior in high school now. But all is well. Just like all of us, we're just living and learning on a day-to-day basis. And that's the beauty of life, like at home, like at school. It's a blessing when you can have people around you that can give you support and help you navigate through life, right? And so,
yeah, absolutely.
That's just kind of what we're doing on a day-to-day basis. Striving to just show up every day, work hard, do things right, and stay firmly rooted in your core common principles and your foundations of what you believe in.
Now, what does he know? If he comes home with some homework, who does he go to? You or mom?
Not me. Hey, that's what I didn't even let you finish the question. Yeah, it's not me.
Oh man.
Hey, I'm the inspiration. Hey man, come on, dog. Let's go. You got it.
I understand. Yeah, mom needs to help you with execution. I'm gonna get you hyped. Going down the road to get. Oh man, mine are the same way. But they look at me like, Dad, what do you know about math? Oh, never mind. I'm just gonna ask mom. They don't even really like that.
We're in trouble.
I know Chat GPT. Just throw that thing in there. That's what I know.
Yeah.
They're in a different stratosphere, I think, than when we went to school.
Oh my gosh, it's so crazy. Like,
isn't it?
It's so much. Just the advancements are amazing.
Oh my goodness. And it's a little bit scary. Meaning, man, where was I, and what was I missing? What should I have been prepared for, and what was I paying attention to? And the kids now can do algebra in third, fourth grade. It's algebra. I think I failed that 3 times before I got to 9th grade. So, it's one of those things where it's just a different world in terms of education, which kind of brings me to my next question, right? So now, Chip, you had a long career as an educator and you ventured over into some new territory, being an innovator, a creator, an entrepreneur.
Yes.
As you've been going through this in this new realm, are there any items, any learning lessons that you wish you would have had access to back in high school, back in college? Any points like, man, we really need to be getting this information to our kids because they're going to need it?
I think that's a whole nother episode for us.
Well, no doubt.
If we wanted to really just dive deep, but no, it's when I was in school, it was more focused on the 4 core, the basics, the fundamentals. Whereas now, man, technology has progressed in a huge way. I think it's so awesome of the things that they're offering now for kids, with the certifications and all of those kind of things where kids graduate and they can be certified to have real jobs, like good paying jobs right now. There was an example of one kid that I taught and coached. He did a auto tech certification, and man, he finished that in 2 years, and he was making more than what I was making as a longtime teacher and coach after 2 years, and that blew me away. Yeah, and I think it's awesome, man, that they have those opportunities to do those things.
When you think about your ability to engage with a wide array of people, whether it be educators or entrepreneurs like yourself, what do you think impacted you the most to be able to learn those skills? I know as a coach, you've had that experience working with kids and teachers, but is there anything you can point to like, man, this really helped me, to gracefully go into this other profession, this other venture and do well, especially when it's so people-centered?
Yeah, I think for me, having some experiences where I realize I don't know it all, I think it's important to make sure we continue to have that growth mindset. And so, there was, some things that, for example, when I went to school or even earlier in my career, there was no YouTube or, YouTube University or anything, how to, whatever, books for dummies, it was none of that stuff. Cliff Notes was our thing, right?
That's right. Hey, boy, don't get caught with that in class, man. That was a tongue lashing.
But it's awesome to know that we have to have a growth mindset. So all of the things that I'm doing, pretty much, there was no class for it. I've not taken a communications class or how to edit videos or I just had to learn. And I think the beauty of having great relationships like ours is the ability to, ask those people that are doing it those types of questions so I can continue to learn as well.
That's a great point. I mean, just what I love about you is just you're naturally curious, right? And I think that's such a huge trait for success is just don't stop learning. You find curious people that are just learning because they love it or learning because, man, I don't know what that is, but I'm sure I can find out. And you just see them go to town. Those are the kind of people that you want on your team, is because they're going to go find answers when there's roadblocks. And I've seen you do that multiple times and just been, thoroughly impressed. I do have to ask you a dad question though, real quick.
Yeah.
So like you said, right, I've had to learn some of this tech stuff on my side. And what have you been most proud that you've accomplished in terms of learning this stuff, but then you went to show it to the kids or to the wife and they weren't impressed at all? And you're just like, hey man, this is like a huge accomplishment. And I was excited and they're just like, man, that's, the kindergartners do that,
Yeah.
Is there any moment where you try to go show them and you're like, I just should have kept it to myself?
So yeah, for sure. Like with my son, he's a tech guy. Like he likes, computer tech stuff. And so he's up on all of that, man. And so just the different ways, like, man, I came across some templates in CapCut, right? Like, man, I thought I was doing it. Like I just put 3 or 4 pictures in CapCut, hey, and it shifts and it makes me pop and explode in there. I'm like, man, this is crazy, right? And my son was like, yeah, we learned that in class last year. I was like, what?
They just pull you right back down, don't they?
Yeah. Okay then. Last year.
Oh golly, that's so funny. It's just I've had numerous moments where I'm thinking like I made a breakthrough on something. They're just kind of looking at me like, man, get out of here with that. We got time to listen to you.
Okay, Dad.
Yeah. Okay, and they did that. Okay, good job, Dad.
That's awesome, Dad.
Yeah, going about your business.
Yeah.
But it is cool for them to get to see you kind of in a different light, right? With some, talking to a variety of folks and just hearing stories and then being able to share those stories like you do. They got to be excited and proud. They got to give you a little bit of love on some of that stuff, right?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So I'll tell a couple things. So one thing is, I think the beauty of that is too, you can incorporate like my son's younger, like, man, I can go to him and say, hey man, like teach me some stuff, right? And that helps with our bond too, as far as our relationships, because like now I'm just not like dad, just, always giving to him, like, bro, no, I want to learn too. And I think that sets a posture for him to understand that it's important that you continue to learn.
No. I mean, absolutely. My daughter wanted to do YouTube, and this was probably
Mm-hmm.
4 or 5 years ago, and I said no, thinking like, hey, I'll make you a deal. If you can learn to cut, edit, and record and do all of it alone without asking me and asking me for money to figure it out, then you come show me the finished product and we'll talk about the safety, security stuff. And if you can do all that, and I'll be darned. She got, like, a month later, I'm like, oh man, I guess I got to let her do it now because that's what I put it all out there. And sure enough, and she was cutting and clipping and
Yeah.
designing, making her own
Yeah.
videos and posting and you got to be careful with the interactions and all that stuff and make sure
Mm-hmm.
that they're safe. But I was super impressed. Like, golly, their kids are so far ahead
Yeah, and that's
of
the
where we
thing
were.
too. You can incorporate them into the business. So like, for another example is like my son. So if I wanted to do like he's great at the tech, making the flyers and all those kind of things. I was like, hey, all right, so like I got events coming up. I don't know how to make that stuff. You do, right? How about I pay you instead of paying other people, right? And so that helps you learn how to do that. So now you have a skill. So now you can I'll get you business. People gonna ask me, hey, who did that flyer for you?
Oh,
Who did those
absolutely.
edits? I say, oh yeah, my personal editor, my son. And I send refer him to you, and then now you can get paid from that. And so just the I don't know, I guess first is the growth mindset piece for me, but then also the entrepreneurial side that shows him that, hey, like I can help you get what you want too.
Man, you're giving them that real world experience and incorporating into
Mm-hmm.
what you're doing. I love that. I need to do more of that myself.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's hard getting the kids on board with what you're doing, but I love that part of it because you're right. There is a lot of need for all types of multimedia, social media support and help. There's no doubt. So moving into this semester, what's your goal? What's the mission in terms of the campuses, the districts, the leaders you support or are looking to support? What do you want to get out there about 2024 Chip Baker?
2024 Chip Baker. I think the big things for me now is just continuing to build relationships, right? Harping on the fact that relationships are super important. You talked about people in the school building, and it makes me think about mentors and mentees, right? You think about like those mentors that we had in our life, man, like they advanced us and progressed us in such a fast way, right? And it was because we had great relationships. And so I think it's important to continue to have seek for as well as give great relationships, because when you do that, you find out that our life moves at the speed of our relationships.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, I think one of the big things I've learned is that the relationships have to come first. The trust has to come first before the
Yep.
business. And
Mm-hmm.
there was a time where I thought if I know my stuff and I can display value to somebody, then they'll understand that. But it really doesn't happen without the relationships and the trust. Um, so before we go, Chip, shout out your socials or where people get in contact with you. And there's plenty of leaders that will vouch for the job that you do with motivating staff, uplifting staff, coaching leaders, coaching students, and just being an all around positive source for the education world and beyond. So shout out where they can find you if they're interested.
Yeah, well, again, Doc, thank you so much for the kind words. That means a lot to me. I truly appreciate your support. But all of my social media is at Chip Baker TSC, as in the Success Chronicles, except for my Twitter, and my Twitter is at Chip Baker 19. So please go on, check it out. Positive inspiration and motivation, and like everybody, the like, follow, subscribe, all of those things. Do that, but I ask
Yeah,
even
help spread the
deeper.
word. Absolutely.
Yeah, but even deeper than that for me, just trying to make a positive impact. If there's something you see and there's someone that you care about that you think of, I ask that you just share it with them to make their life better.
I love it, man. I love it. Yeah, it's definitely worth a follow and a subscribe to hear some inspirational stories and just some good things that are happening in the city of Houston and around the state, man. Follow Chip Baker. Last question I got before we get out of here is, how much of a cut do you take when your son gets the job? Like if we get him some work, like how much is going in? It's like, hey, no, you didn't. You got to pay for your insurance, something like. What are we talking percentage wise? So I know the young man what I got to help him with.
No, man, his dad's a pretty good dad, man. So I don't take too much. I let him learn to work his thing, man. Do your thing, man. I don't want to be in your business, I just want to help you. But his dad is pretty good. Now it could be the opposite, but his dad's all right.
Well, with that, Chip, I want to say thank you, man. Thank you so much for joining as always, and we'll continue you and I to collaborate and stay in contact. And I'm sure you'll be a guest again. They're definitely a fan favorite. So thanks, Chip. Thanks for joining us on the path forward.
Go get it.
Produced by Podcast Architects.